and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the To-Do List. I'm your host, Eric Fisher. This is the show where I talk to the people behind the productivity. This week, I'm thrilled to share with you a conversation I had with Angelo Poli. He's the founder of MetPro. MetPro is short for Metabolic Profiling, and MetPro analyzes your metabolism and provides an individualized approach to obtaining your health goals. I've been using MetPro for a while now, and I thought it would be great to have Angelo on to talk about fitness and basically his 5 basics to improving your body and your health and your productivity. And I think for any of us who have spent time doing different things, whether it's diets or workouts, etc., and had some success and then some roadblocks, this conversation is going to be a bit enlightening because it addresses the why we get stuck when it comes to the change that we want to see in that regard. So I'll get out of the way and say, enjoy this conversation with Angelo Poli. Well, this week it is my privilege to welcome to the show Angelo Poli. Angelo, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Eric. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So I was super excited to be working with you and actually some of the team members over at MetPro. And before we ever get into what MetPro is, I want to say that, it'd be great if you could give us a little bit of your background in terms of what you've been doing in the health, the fitness area. And then obviously one of the things that I think still always bears repeating is some of those obvious connections and correlations even between health and productivity, and for that matter, vice versa, productivity into health.
That's it. Return on your investment. Mm-hmm. I don't know anyone who, when asked, hey, would you like to improve your fitness, improve your body composition, improve your energy or performance, they say, no, that doesn't sound like fun at all. Everybody wants that. Now, how do we get there? And that's basically what I've been up to for the last 2 decades, Eric.
Yeah.
So MetPro is short for Metabolic Profiling. And so I can give you just the cliff notes on me. I'm really nobody. I'm just a guy that was into fitness, had a pretty catastrophic back injury when I was really young. I was in my early 20s, and I had to a choice to make, either figure out how to move forward using my brain and strategy and really focus on the coaching element, because I wasn't going to be able to use my body. And so that's kind of how, years later, this whole process was born of helping people who are just wanting answers, because you can find anything online, right? You can find any information out there. It's like, oh, what diet's best? What exercise is best? What do I do for my body type? And you can literally find 100 answers to every one of those questions. So I've basically built a career and a pursuit and a company around strategically helping people answer those questions and doing very high level one-on-one coaching and helping people transform their bodies. And I love it. It's a blast. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love what I do.
Yeah. Well, and based on the amount of people that come to you and all the different spectrum of people that come to you, more importantly, the answers they're going to be that they could look up for themselves, but be confused by are going to be simplified and, even then given strategy to back them up, based on who they are and, self-awareness, as well as, where they are or where they're wanting to go.
If I do my job right, that's the whole idea. Yep. So, people fundamentally, I end up talking whenever I'm invited on a show like this, which is great. Fundamentally, I almost always end up talking about metabolism and weight loss the most. Some people can walk away with the impression that, MetPro is a weight loss company. We are not. That's not what we are. We're a strategy, a concierge coaching group. We work with high-level athletes. We work with, people in the entertainment industry. The reason that we talk so much about weight loss and metabolism is because it is almost universally the topic that people come to us so frustrated with. Hey, I tried this or I tried that, or how frustrating it is for someone that has literally gone online, bought all the books, hired the trainer to tell them that they need to do this, 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 and this. Come to find out those are all the things they're already doing, yet they're still stuck.
Mm-hmm.
That's so frustrating. What are my next steps? So that's what we really aim to focus on for people. What are the most strategic next steps to create transformation in your health, in your body, in your performance, or whatever it is your goal is? And so that's where I spend my days living, and our team focuses on with their clients. And what I'm here to share with you, I thank you so much for having me here, Eric. I'm going to tell you all my secrets, everything I know, for whatever that's worth.
Oh, yeah. So, and obviously this is a productivity show. People are like, okay, I get it. Health is connected to productivity because the healthier I am, whether that's, again, the things people find the most pain points with and come to you with, which is, weight loss and metabolism and that realm of things, or they just want to feel better, have more clarity in their mind. I mean, even just the let's put it this way, clarity of mind that I have had going through the program now for more than 2 weeks plus now, and then some.
That's great.
It just, that's not one of the things that, someone advertises when they talk about eating healthy and moving and knowing yourself and all of that. But I got to say, that's one of those definite, bonus added benefits from a productivity perspective, that you're not, downing 2, 3, 4 cups of coffee throughout the day to stay awake, to use as a crutch,
Right. No, absolutely. And so it's pretty well established, and actually can be backed up by the fact we work with a lot of entrepreneurs and leaders, executives, that it's all about time management for them and productivity. And the direction the corporate world is going in these days is they're recognizing the value of a health conscious culture, and how that actually directly correlates to an improved bottom line for these companies. That's why these CEOs and executives are going through this education process. And it works the same way in our day-to-day lives. If you have, I'm preaching to the choir here, if you have an effective way of doing things, your productivity is going to be so much higher. And here's really the crux of the matter is, we talk about health and fitness in the industry as if it's a choice. Well, if you want it bad enough, you'll decide to do it. It's just garbage. It doesn't work that way in practicality. Choice and a will and desire to do it is an element. But I mean, raise your hand if you want to be healthier, fitter, leaner, faster, stronger, right? I mean, who doesn't want that? What it comes down to is, do you have the skills necessary? And what I'm really talking about now in the trenches, working with people day in and day out, is the strategy to do what you need to do in a time managed fashion, the most strategic fashion for your body type, your genetic predisposition, your lifestyle, your goal. And so universally, whether you're a grandparent who just wants more energy to play with the grandkids on the weekend, whether you're a pro athlete who needs to make weight to fill the role on your team, the strategy is all about evaluation and then individually adjusting. And that's both training, nutrition, and the lifestyle component, which is, I know where you live, having listened to a lot of your podcasts, in productivity and being strategic and just getting stuff done. So I would love to share the 5 basics that we go over with everyone that help us really do our job, because maybe some of your listeners can get some takeaways from it and start implementing in their lives.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I love that you basically say that one of the, or if not the biggest secret to, cracking that nut of health is time management, which is one of the things that we talk about. And, being a productivity person, that's music to my ears. So
people tell me all day, hey, Angelo, I want to tell you about what I did today in my workout. Or, hey, Angelo, I want to tell you about what I ate for lunch. Doesn't matter. Nothing you do today matters unless you can repeat it tomorrow. So what strategy do you have in place to be able to continue. Now we're talking. Now we have something formidable. So it's really the lifestyle tricks, the life hacks, the disruptive behaviors. Most people are shocked when they reach out to us and I say, okay, here are the things that we're going to determine based on your unique data points, your response. Here are the things that, I have watched enough people that I already know where this is going. So these are non-negotiables, right? Hey, I want you to prepare certain meals in advance. Only they're not the meals you think. I want you to spend a little bit of time every week in exercise, if it's not your current custom, but it might not be the activities you would think. Why? Because we need to be strategic. And so that really boils down to what our belief philosophy is at MetPro, and that's individual evaluation.
I want to talk about those 5 basics, and I want to talk about these disruptive, behaviors, these life hacks. But let's first go into that individualism, because I think that's what sets you apart from anything else that I've ever experienced in this realm, and why it's, it's gathering a profile. It's self-awareness on a physical body type level, a metabolism level. It's circumstantial, or should I say individualized?
Yeah. So there's the raging debate. What is the best diet for weight loss or muscle development, or whatever your goal is? What is the best training? What is the best strategy? And here's the secret. You can find, again, any answer you're looking for, because there is someone out there that has had success with every single approach. The problem is every strategy has some merit to it. How do you know which approach is right for you? That's where the individualized approach comes in. So just as an example, blanket example, do you manage calories or do you manage carbohydrates? There's plenty of science behind both. They both work. The key is which one is going to give us the most leverage for you today. So whereas one client, we may choose to, we always use a combination of multiple levers, right? But for one client, we may lean a little heavier into calorie control and management of that area. Another client, we may lean a little heavier into carbohydrate manipulation. And then still a third person, we may keep both of those two fairly moderate and really swing the dial on the activity and the type of training that we're doing. Why? Because the best exercise, the most effective diet strategy is always the one that is the most disruptive to what your body is currently used to. And that's where the industry misses the point, and kind of what I saw early in my career that made me want to explore this concept of metabolism. There are few things in life that is so unfair, unjust, not equitable as the discrepancy between individual metabolic rates, which is really kind of a tough pill to swallow, because you'd like to think, hey, if my buddy and I both do the same exact steps, we do the same activities, we eat the same foods, we should get the same results, or at least close to that. It does not work that way. If you agree with that, if you've experienced that in your life, that no two people are alike, well, then I'll hopefully have some explanation for you today.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but no singular person is the same as themselves before, or previously, as well as where they're going.
Ooh, very good. So. Nice. You nailed it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how often I'm discussing with someone who is telling me, I should this, that, and the other, because when I did this before, and I said, now, hopefully your experiences will parallel, but there's no rule that means that you're going to respond the same way today that you did to something 5 years ago or 10 years ago, or for that matter, even 6 months ago. So you hit the nail on the head with that. Good point.
Well, thank you very much. Well, and that I think is why, sometimes we find things that work and they work for a while. Then they slow down and then they stop working altogether, even though we're still, quote, being healthy, whatever that means for somebody, whether that means not eating junk food, not eating sugar, not eating carbs, not eating fats, walking, running, switching things up every once in a while, but we all still either plateau or hit roadblocks.
And I can explain that by talking about what happens when we do eat extra carbs and sugar and junk food. What happens when we are over consuming? It's the same thing as when we underconsume. Our metabolism does its job. It's just most people don't know what the job of the metabolism is. We're confused about that. The job of the metabolism is to acclimate to your environment and circumstance to keep you alive. Mm-hmm. That's the job of the metabolism, to adjust, because it has to be able to recreate. You have to be in a level of homeostasis. It has to continually recreate that. What that means is if someone were to endlessly start gaining weight, they're going to ultimately die. Their body has to be able to regulate to that new intake level. Otherwise, they will literally die. If somebody continues to lose weight, guess what? The metabolism has to do the same thing. It has to acclimate to that decreased intake. Otherwise, you will literally starve to death, waste away, and die. But those two extremes rarely happen. We just drift one direction or the other for whatever amount of time it takes for your metabolism to reacclimate. But if it can reacclimate, if it can change, it can be controlled. So I don't want you to just take me at my word. I want to be able to prove it to you. So I use, and if you've listened to any of my other podcasts, I almost always use this illustration. If you were to take 100 people and strand them on a desert island and give them rations for a year, 1,500 calories, it doesn't matter. It could be 1,200 calories or 2,000 calories, whatever, for the sake of our illustration. There's young people, there's old people, there's skinny people, there's fat people, there's everything in between. A year later, everyone on that island is going to come off with a metabolic set point, like they talk about in marketing and in the industry, a metabolic set rate of exactly 1,500 calories or whatever those rations were. Because if not, if their metabolic rate doesn't acclimate to that exact intake, they don't come off the island. They're not alive, right? So it's simple. It's simple math when you look at it from that perspective. And yes, the industry gives nods to your metabolism regulates to when you eat less. Your metabolism regulates, but unfortunately, we can undervalue that fact. And that leads to so much frustration, especially for people trying to lose weight who are doing, quote unquote, everything right. You can do everything, quote unquote, right, but not have sufficient enough contrast or change in what you're taking in or how you're exercising to challenge your body to change. And that's where the calculated, personalized approach forces the issue, forces someone to adapt the way we want. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it means that there's a way to do it strategically. So I don't want to, I can keep talking for a while. So you just tell me when I've gone too far, but I would love to be able to share with your listeners, basically the 5 basics that we look at. So that way, next time you think about how you want to eat, how you want to exercise, you'll have a reference point for how some of the experts evaluate people.
Yeah. So for somebody who has been in that, let's just call it the stuck mode in the past and wants to see transformation again or continued maybe transformation that they've already had going on, let's dive into these 5 basics that people can start to use to improve, their body, their health, their productivity, and see that transformation start to happen again.
Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. There's five points. I'm going to actually start with number 4 because it's exactly what you just said. So someone who's done, they're stuck. They want to know what they have to do to basically unearth their metabolism. So the 4th out of the 5 is your benchmark testing, baseline testing. And so instead of, reading about, well, this study here or that group of people had this response, I find the most effective way is to reverse engineer what works for you. So this is kind of the family talk, the real talk here. I'm going to basically get you, if somebody says, hey, Angelo, I need to lose weight, I'm going to get you to lose weight and then figure out what it took and determine if that's sustainable or not. And if it's not, we're going to have to take a different route. If it is sustainable, then we can keep pushing deeper into that direction. I do that with baseline testing so we don't guess. So I would put someone on a meal plan. It's going to be boring. It's going to be plain, but it's just going to last for a few days so I can establish empirical data on where your metabolism is. So I'll know how many meals you're eating, how many calories you're eating, how many grams of protein, carbs, and fat. I'm in control of all of that. So I have a baseline. And then we have you follow it for a few days. And because we have a static, non-varied baseline, that's the input. The output, your result. Did you gain weight, lose weight, stay the same weight? Did your energy go up, down, stay the same? All these things that we're looking at, your results are really empirical data. You don't have to like it, but you can't argue with it. Here's how I responded. I ate this, this happened. Now we can start putting the puzzle pieces together. So with a baseline test, what we do is we eliminate the variables. And I joke with people, I said, every once in a while I'll have someone a little gung-ho, and they ask me, well, why do you say don't start exercising? Well, I don't actually say don't start exercising. What I say is if you're not currently exercising, don't start while baseline testing. If you are exercising, continue to do what you normally do. What I'm looking to do is strip away all variables for just a really short, tight period of time. So I had this guy, he comes to me, he says, Angelo, I did your baseline test. It must be working great. I lost 5 pounds. I said, all right, Johnny, what else did you do? He said, well, I started running 6 miles a day. I said, have you always been running 6 miles a day? And he goes, no, first time. I said, well, I am thrilled that you lost 5 pounds. Here's the problem. I have no idea if that was in response to my baseline meal plan or in response to your running. We have to do it again. You see, so my goal isn't in the first 72 hours, in the first 5 days, my goal isn't to boil the ocean and change someone's body. My goal is to come back to them with empirical data. And I've dieted, Eric. I've dieted 20,000 people in my career. I've been doing this 2 decades. I have a whole company built around analyzing the data. Here is the net takeaway of what I've learned. I don't know what you need to eat to lose weight because everyone's different.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. I don't know. I know how to find out though.
Yes.
I'm put you on a baseline meal plan. And oh, by the way, I might have good news for you. I might have bad news for you. But what I promise is I'll have accurate news for you. And that's what we need. I got a guy right now, he's 320 plus pounds. And he's eating about 1,900 calories a day, and he uses his elliptical every morning. And if he is lucky, if he really pushes it and has just a dialed week, he's lucky to take a pound off. And that's pretty rough. I mean, 1,900 calories for a guy that size that's not a lot, right? That's pretty low.
Yeah.
But there's no sense in treating him like, I'm not going to insist that, he's eating, a bunch of junk food in the closet when nobody's looking, because that's simply not the case. This is the reality. He's actually eating this. This is his actual outcome. So knowing that, I'm going to treat him differently, more specifically. We're going to have a strategy that's going to force his metabolic rate up, which is going to give us leverage to go through a period of cutting. And then we're going to have to repeat that process, force his metabolic rate up, and then go through another cutting cycle. On the other hand, I got another guy who starts the baseline meal plan, which is kind of right down the middle, and 5 pounds fall off of him. And he didn't even start exercising yet. I don't have to take anything out of his diet. We're just going to build a strategy that's sustainable. Now, guess what? He's going to lose a good amount of weight and pretty quick. But even he, with a fast metabolism, is going to plateau because the metabolism will do its job. It'll acclimate. And when it does, we'll have the step after that and the step after that and the step after that. And that's how we get it done. So the fourth out of the five things that we look at is baseline test. So how do you do this at home? Well, if you're working with one of our experts, we're going to coach you through the whole process. And then it's not just a baseline test, it's actually a benchmark. There's just a slight nuance of different meaning. Baseline can be any diet. You could be eating Oreos for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As long as you just eat Oreos for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then the data you get from that a few days later is empirical data. That's still a baseline test. we're going to get data from it. Now, a benchmark is different. So a benchmark is a finely procured meal plan that we have been refining for literally a decade through our company. And watching thousands and thousands of people go through it. So now what I get is a third data point. So I know exactly what the intake is. I know how you are responding to it, but I also have data on how thousands of others of similar body type, age, circumstance have also responded to it. So when I have someone on a benchmark meal plan and then I go back to them and I say, do you have a fast metabolism? You should believe me. You probably do. And unfortunately, when I go back to someone and say, yeah, you have a slow metabolism, there's good cause for that also. So the recommendations are going to be different. And that's where the next point is of the things we evaluate is somebody strategic or metabolic? So to explain that is the very first thing we do is identify which of the two categories somebody lands in. Some people will just with consistency, regular exercise, and clean eating instantly start seeing progress towards whatever their health and fitness goals are. To be honest, Eric, that's most people. Mm-hmm. That's the majority of 85% of people out there. If they just clean up their diet and start getting active, they're going to see some progress. And we get a lot of those people. You know what the challenge is? The same challenge I have every day, the same challenge you and everybody else on this planet has, and that is consistency and integration and everything that you preach and talk about on your podcast, consistency, strategy, time management, all of those things, which is, by the way, a skill, not just a choice, right? They need support. We need support and a strategy to be able to implement. So that we kind of put people in, that's one bucket, and that's the biggest bucket. And everybody to a lesser or greater degree falls into that bucket at one time or another. But then there's another bucket. That's the bucket of, I've been eating my broccoli. I've been, having my chicken and grilled tofu and rice cakes, and I've been on the treadmill, and I've been doing this, that, the other thing. I play by all the rules. My weight isn't budging, or I'm not seeing the progress that I want or that I expected. So then they fall under a different category. Then we label them metabolic because we know that today, that doesn't have to be a permanent, but today their metabolism has acclimated to that environment. Mm-hmm. So trying to restrict more. I mean, you take someone who, I get people that come to me that are eating, they're eating 1,400 calories a day. And they got 30 pounds to lose. And I have to tell them, I said, what, we're going to take out 100 calories a day? It's not enough. Nothing will change. Now, if someone's coming to me and has 30 pounds to lose, but they're eating 4,000 calories a day, I got all kinds of leverage, right? Right. So knowing that, we have to take a different approach. We have to focus on forcing their metabolic rate up.
Perfect.
Have you ever heard the adage, you got to eat more to lose more? Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
So there is truth to that. When you reach that point where your body goes, yeah, I'm good here. This is it. I'm not giving up anymore. There is truth to that. But it really needs to come with the don't try this at home, kids, disclaimer, because it's very hard to do if you don't know how the biology of how the body works. So if you go from eating very low calories, very low carbohydrates, and, overnight double it, you're not going to be happy with the result. But if you have a strategic game plan of gradual integration, you would be amazed at how you can condition someone's metabolic rate to run faster and then run faster and then run faster. Now, mind you, they may not lose weight during this process, so they have to understand why they're doing this. But the end of the road is now I have a fast, or at least a normal metabolic rate. So when I go into a cutting cycle, a stripping cycle, a restriction cycle, my body has some leverage there, so I'll give up some body fat. Contrast is the key. Mm-hmm. So that's the strategy. I'm going all out of order now. We're bouncing around.
Yeah.
That's the
so we've hit number 4. What else have we hit? I think
we hit number 3. Let me jump
okay.
to number 1. How about that?
Yeah. There you go.
So the very first place we start is your goal, your body type and goal. And body type is really a better way of saying that is your genetic predisposition plus your goal.
Yes.
So a effective goal setting session, in my opinion, is reverse engineering. So the reason that most people are unable to achieve the goals that they're after is because of they lack the specificity to really force the issue in one area of their life, in the specificity to challenge the body biologically to adapt. So when we talk about goal setting, most people want the same things. They want to lean out. They want to improve performance. They want to be stronger. They want to be faster. They want to have more energy. So what I start with is of all these great things that we can accomplish, and we can check them all off. You can accomplish multiple things. But of all these great things here, which one can I take off the list that we're going to put on the shelf and say, okay, we're not going to focus on that now? They say, okay, well, I can take this one off the list. Perfect. Now take 2 more. Now take 1 more. And eventually what we end up with is a strong priority hierarchy. It doesn't mean that we're not going to do all of them. What it means is we have to organize them so that way we have priorities. Then we can figure out exactly how much of our effort is going to go into this, or is going to go into that. I was on the phone the other day talking with someone, and I said, what do you want to accomplish? And they said, I need better energy, and I need more strength, and I want to lose a few pounds. And I said, okay, of those, which one do you want to prioritize? Now, we're going to see improvement across the board, both of them, all of those. But which is the top of your list? And they really struggled with that. I can't, I want to get stronger. I need to perform better. I have to take this 20 pounds off. So I finally said it to them this way. I said, I'm going to design your meal plan right now. If our priority is dropping 20 pounds, I'm going to write something different on this paper, in this email, or push to your app than I'm going to create if your goal is to increase your squat by 40 pounds. So which one is it? I get it. Yeah, I have my high school reunion in 5 weeks. So we're going to go with the 20 pounds. I said, perfect. We're still going to get to that squat. We're doing it. But I have to know what our priority is and what's happening first. So reverse engineer your goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because you could be, in other words, it's picking which target you're aiming for, because if you're aiming at 3 different ones, you can't hit all 3. I mean, if you're using a shotgun, you could, but that's not what we're using here. We're trying to, hit the actual target with the bow and the arrow. Not
exactly.
I don't know. You could. I am actually having a really weird mental picture of aiming at 3 different targets with one shotgun. And yes, one of the targets is primarily getting hit, but all 3 are getting hit. But the two on the side are getting like slight buckshot, and that's it.
That's a great illustration. That's it. Well, so I get these calls frequently. I'll get an executive or a CEO that has just, they'll say, okay, Mr. Poli, I know who you are. I know who you work with. Here's what I want. I want to bench 300 pounds. I want a sub 6-minute mile time. And I want to have less than 10% body fat. Can you get me there? And my answer is absolutely. That's what I do. I'll get you there. Now, here's what you have to decide. Which one do you want to do first? Because if we try and do all three at the same time, you're going to go down in a ball of flame of mediocrity across the board. So we have to pick. And as soon as we check one off the list, we'll maintain that while we move on to the next and the next. And so I can tell you the magic number of things you can do with excellence at once, and the number is 1. But let's check it off the list and let's move to the next. That's, the whole productivity, the whole theme of, checking off the to-do list. The same thing has to apply to your approach to health, nutrition, and fitness if you really want to get world-class results. And this stems from the sport of fitness. Back in the old days, we're talking Arnold Schwarzenegger here, bodybuilding, right? He put that sport on the map. Now, I know what your listeners are thinking. I don't want to be a bodybuilder. Well, neither do I. But what do we take away from that extreme, just for the sake of illustration, right? Someone who does want to take it to the limits. Well, they have focused periods. This part of the year, they're focusing on building up muscle and speeding their metabolic rate. This part of the year, they're focused on cutting fat and leaning out. This part of the year, they're focused on giving themselves a mental and physical break so they can recover. See, all the pieces are there. And if that sounds familiar, you've probably done some sports throughout your life. If you've been in any sort of team or coach sports, you know that there's what's called periodization and cycles. That's how you get the greatest performance. It's unfortunate that more people aren't able to take some of that cutting edge strategy and just apply it in their approach to, hey, I want more energy to play with the grandkids and I need to take 10 pounds off. There's a strategic way to do it. There absolutely is.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. So we've checked them off. 1, goal setting and body type. We've checked off strategic versus metabolic and the importance of some form of baseline testing to actually learn where you are.
This episode is brought to you in part by Babbel, the language learning app that'll get you speaking a new language with confidence. Confidence being the key missing piece that I never had when I was learning a language in junior high and high school and college. And, those are a particular time where you don't necessarily have a lot of confidence, especially in a classroom, but the way they were teaching it just didn't really sit well with me. I mean, you're sitting in a class period for 45 minutes to an hour every day or every couple of days, and the learning just wasn't optimized. But Babbel leans in on the things that work the best for me. Number 1, the lessons are only 10 to 15 minutes long. With shorter lessons, my attention span is going to be at its peak throughout the lesson. On top of that, they're leaning into the technology side of things by using speech recognition technology, as well as providing it as an app or online so you can save your progress and sync your progress across all your devices. Not only that, but getting back to the way that it works. Not only that, but again, those 10 to 15 minute lessons that are convenient are also created by over 100 language experts that are real people, not a translation machine, so you can learn with confidence on the go at your own pace and be able to choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish and French and Polish and much more. There's a reason it's the number 1 selling language learning app in the world, but you have to try it out for yourself. Go to Babbel.com or download the app and try it for free. That's Babbel, Babbel.com. Or, again, download the app to try it for free. Babbel. Speak a new language with confidence.
Lifestyle is the next one.
Which one's this? 3 or 5?
This is 2. This is 2.
Okay,
sorry.
so we
checked off 1, 3, and 4.
1, 3, and 4. So we've got 2 and 5 left. I love how we're going out of order here because it's. I love how what 1 and 4, if I'm not mistaking myself, 4 was the benchmarking and 1 is the goal setting.
Right.
And usually you'd think those are 1 and 2, but. Yeah.
I just love the irony and how the theme here is the to-do list and we're going out of order.
Well, hey, just because there's a list doesn't mean it's a list of things to do. It doesn't mean it's in an order per se. So
hey, well, the expert just said that we can do it out of order, so here we go. We're
going beyond. That's all. Yep.
Nice. Perfect. Beyond. I love it.
Yeah. So 2 and 5.
Lifestyle.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 is lifestyle. So one of my pet peeves is, and even if somebody's knowledgeable, making hard, fast, or dogmatic recommendations before knowing the person that it's recommended, the circumstance, the subject, the scenario, etc. One of the very most important things that we focus on with our concierge clients is we have to get to know them. And sometimes people say, hey, I thought I was calling to learn about metabolism, weight loss, nutrition, fitness training. And we're like, why are we talking about my kids' soccer schedule? Why are we talking about my vacation days at work? Why are we talking about all these things, my travel schedule? That is your health, fitness, and nutrition. Let me tell you, that is most definitely the lion's share of what's going to dictate what you are and are not able to do strategically. So just to illustrate one just small area, I love snacks, but not for the reason that most people think. A lot of people recommend, hey, do snacks throughout the day. The reason I love snacks is because they are consumed non-socially. That's a huge thing in my world. So I got to get someone to transform their body and their health. And I got a finite amount of tools to do that. And you know what happens is we end up taking, especially busy people, they end up taking lunches and dinners socially or with the family. And so I'm already having to work within a framework there. But you know what? I can say, hey, Johnny, I want you to eat this exact snack at 2:30 every day. And as long as it's simple and portable and easy, what's he going to say? No, I can't do that. It's too hard. Oh, that's easy. You know why? Because I'm not meeting someone for a snack. I'm not having drinks and a snack with someone socially where I feel obligated to participate in a particular eating mantra. I can just have something structured and strategic at that time. So I have to find that out about somebody's lifestyle and schedule. Do you eat meals socially? Do you have a family that eats meals together? Oh, by the way, do you spend most of your life in one city, in one house? Or are you split between multiple locations? Are you traveling constantly? We had a client, we were actually featured in the Wall Street Journal a couple years back for working with a guy that I reference a lot. We became friends. He was literally, not exaggerating, literally in a plane 26 days out of the year. So do you think we could use the same playbook for him that I could for someone who works a typical 9 to 5 and has structure in their life? It's not going to work. So we have to know you before we know the strategy to get you from point A to point B. So that's the lifestyle piece.
Perfect. Okay. Everybody's wondering, what's number 5?
Psychological profile. So what this means is over my career, I've had approximately 80 professional coaches that have worked for me, worked with me, etc. And I have marveled at how just over the decades of doing this, I have seen what a profound influence psychology and the right fit has on somebody's outcome. I can implement the exact same nutritional strategy, training strategy, but with a little bit of a shift in presentation, in coaching strategy, you can get two very different outcomes. So I find that some people do really good in a mentoring relationship. And I think I would even fall under this category myself, with a strong support system, somebody who's not going to, hold back and telling it like it is, but is really taking on a mentoring role in this area of my life. I'm the type of person that responds really well to that. And we found that people that respond really well to that respond well to a certain style of implementation for strategy when it comes to exercise and nutrition and just lifestyle management. Then there are individuals who respond really well to what I call an instructor approach. Those are the people that just love to know why. And we love those people because that's where at MetPro, Metabolic Profiling, we can shine, is in teaching people the why behind, yes, I know you've heard this about fasting state cardio. I know you've heard that about endomorphic body types. I know you've heard this about cyclical fasting and ketogenics. We're going to teach you all of this stuff so you understand the science behind it and which of these levers is the most applicable to you now and why. People that love to know the why thrive when they're given the education around everything that we do. And so that's how we approach those individuals. And then there's another type, the leader. They like to be challenged. Typically, they are the ones in their life doing the challenging for the people around them, generally speaking. There's always exceptions, right? But they like to be challenged. And you did good this week, but I know you can do just a little bit more. So I challenge you to take this exact next step. Here's what you have to do. And there's a personality type that tends to really respond well to that. Now, I can't claim to have absolute mastery over this, but we have definitely observed that framing does play a part in someone's motivation. And that's what we're in the business to do, is help people find that motivation, walk with them on that path, and support them in reaching those goals. So that's the fifth piece.
Yeah. So I can say that from all five of those things, like I've experienced myself personally through MetPro, all of those different things, doing the benchmarking, making the goals, the plans, even some of the psychological stuff. Now, we didn't, dive too far into it. It wasn't explicitly stated necessarily in my case, but I can tell you like which of the things that were offered to me or followed through, with the coaching, with the, the checking in and even the phone calls with my person, that I know how they were helping me, and they were able to kind of say, so was this working for you, or was this, how do you feel about this? Like and there was a certain amount where, as more of a full disclosure person as I got to be, it got to be more accurate and helpful. So
very nice.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I want to hear. Do you remember the name of your coach?
Jessie.
Jessie.
Yes,
she is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I've known her for years. She is just a masterful coach and very loving. She'll challenge you, but very loving. And
it was firm, yet also like she was like, "Hey, so if we do this, like this is what's going to happen." But on the flip side, like, it was a tough love, yet like a motivational in a positive way too. So it wasn't bad at all.
So if I may, it's worth explaining this, people that work with us right now. One of the things at MetPro, one of our primary initiatives is we're developing a technology platform that is scalable and for the masses. And we've been working at that for actually a number of years now. And we are in early beta phases. So it's actually going excellent. But what we've been focused on the whole way through is the concierge coaching. And this model allows us to really do a deep dive. So this isn't your, download for, $19.99 canned emailed program. No, this is when somebody hires us, they're paying for our consulting, and we get to know everyone by name. So Jessie is working with you. She's not sending you and 50 other clients out the same email. She is really getting to know your schedule, your circumstance. And that's the framework, the foundation that allows us the satisfaction of really seeing people progress, hit goals, check them off their list, and move on to the next. And that's what I'm passionate about. And that's what we're passionate about at NetPro.
Yeah, man. And seriously, from my experience, you're doing such a great job with that. And I'm excited for my continued growth or what's the next growth, but mature growth. 'Cause I'm losing pounds, that's not
a boy.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not growth where I'm putting on pounds. It's let me put it this way: growth of muscle. Let's put it that way. But growth in my confidence, growth in maturity, and growth in even I'm like you said, I'm the kind of person who you give me the information, and when I start to understand it, like, the decisions then start to not become decisions. It's just, I now have the setup system and I move forward with that system and I understand what I'm doing, and it's less of a willpower thing. So
you got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
So I'm super excited for what you guys are doing, and you guys are being super generous and offering, basically a way for people to do a consultation with somebody from MetPro for free. And I'm psyched to let people go do this. So,
and we appreciate you, Eric, for making this available to your audience. So if you go to metpro.co/beyond, you'll have a free 30-minute consultation. So what I want to emphasize, this isn't some call center with 50 people answering ringing phones. You're going to talk to an expert. And so what I would tell people is be prepared to actually open up. They're going to want to get to, if you're willing, they're going to want to get to know you, even if you're just doing an exploratory, and take advantage of it and pick their brain, because we've worked with people just like you, same challenges, and we see what's worked and what hasn't worked, and we want to share that with you, and we can really paint the picture as once we get to know you a little bit of what the process would look like. The standards, the consistence across the board are everybody that starts with, we're going to evaluate, we're going to baseline test. Yep. Going to have you do some food prepping and making some specific meals for a short time. And then we're going to come back and then do a much deeper dive into your strategy and the exact meal plan, training, action steps that are going to get you from point A to point B. Because after that baseline testing, we are armed with so much real world applicable data on you. So take advantage of it. Metpro.co/beyond. Thank you so much, Eric, for letting your listeners have access to that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I want to do a disclaimer here. Like, I didn't go into it thinking, now I do know, like, I need to lose some weight, but for me, like, being the productivity guy, like, I'm coming at it more, like I said, from an energy or an output or a performance type priority, like we were talking about earlier. It's like, yeah, you could build muscle, you could lose weight, you could increase your energy, you could, a number of other things. And for somebody who has been stuck for a while, without making any real progress, though I've had progress in the past, and I know a lot of the listeners, you're doing the right things, or you have been doing the right things at different times. Don't overlook this opportunity as something where it's like, well, I don't really think I need to, like, I could lose weight, but I don't really need to lose weight, like, come into it doing it like I did and just be like, look, losing some weight would be a great byproduct, but do this for the energy. Do this for the output, the increased performance that you're going to get in terms of your productivity.
Absolutely. ROI, return on your investment. If you're gonna put some time into something, if you're willing to improve your eating habits, sharpen the pencil on your exercise strategy, tighten up the lifestyle elements and strategies around, some life hacks and some really effective techniques you can implement on your day-to-day living. If you're willing to do that, you might as well do it with the most productive methods available. That's what we preach.
Yep. Perfect. Angelo, this has been great. I can't wait for people to see some more transformation coming their way. I'll link up to everything, we talked about in the show notes for this episode. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks a million, Eric. It's been a blast.
Well, that's another episode crossed off your podcast listening to-do list. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Angelo. I know that I did. Thanks again to Angelo Poli for stopping by and talking about MetPro and enlightening us on the algorithm-based approach to metabolism and basically doing an individualized approach to your health goals. And as usual, if you enjoyed this conversation, I would love for you to share it with somebody else you know best would love to hear it as well. You can do that by going to beyondthetodolist.com and hitting the share button there, or hitting the share button inside of the podcast player you're listening to this episode on right now. So many of you have been doing that, and I am incredibly grateful to you for that. Thank you so much. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. I've got some great episodes coming up soon, planning out, honestly, through the end of this calendar year already. Cannot believe that that's happening. But hey, batch processing and working ahead. Hit me up. Twitter.com/Eric with a K, the letter J, FISHER is where you can find me to let me know, is there somebody you're interested in hearing from on this show? Let me know. And with that, I'll say thank you for listening, and I'll see you next episode.